to.
On the edge.
Are we still recording, Dave?
Oh,
That's good. All right, just want to make sure.
Blockhead and push it through the pain. Yeah, take
Yeah, I mean, I just
names.
like, do you think there's anything that we missed that we can kind of recap on or whatever to kind of
And
tie
learning
things together? And
what we
There's a
get.
hootenanny going on in there.
Sink it.
I want to go to the hootenanny.
Oh, I am blockhead. A blockhead, yes I am.
Welcome to Blockhead Nation. I am your co-host, Rudy Sacco. I'm here with co-host Kyle Appleton and our host, Donny Donovan. And we are going to get into our third block of the series here, folks. The topic is consideration. So we have a nice set list. We've done some solid prep work that I think we needed to do over the last 2-3 weeks. I apologize for the delay, but we're here now, and we're here to talk about what we consider when we go through life and these ventures. So I'm going to let Donnie take it away here. He's got a few things that have occurred in the last 3 to 4 weeks, and I'm excited to hear about them. So go ahead, Don.
yeah, you know, I wasn't even thinking of this ahead of time, but one of the things that I wanted to mention is that we actually tried to record in episode 3.
Yeah.
And we were on Zoom and we did the set list like right before we actually recorded the episode. So we were going through it and we were doing the editing process and we're like, this is the least considerate thing that I've ever seen in my life
Yeah.
because we didn't put the time into it. So
It wasn't that bad.
We can't talk about consideration
Well, actually,
when we
the-
didn't give consideration, right?
yeah, no,
Yeah.
and it was a good episode and that's why the clips are still out there. And we're probably going to pull more from it. It was a great conversation.
Well, I want to
always,
add some
but,
clarification. It was the Zoom call, I think.
Right.
That was the variable because it
Yeah.
created some lag. There was lag in the input.
There were some audio quality issues.
Yeah, it's choppy.
We really wanted to make it sure that we're improving on each episode. So
Right.
we
So
couldn't release that as our third.
Absolutely. Yeah, we could have probably shot it out there. Yeah, I was not a fan of the audio. So I'm at YMCA, right?
Story time.
Yep, story time. So I'm at the YMCA, and actually Rob, who's the owner of Gilly Puck, we'll give those guys a shout out later. We're on the phone, and I'm on my AirPods or whatever, right? And I'm talking like outside, kind of around the corner of the sauna itself, and I'm running out of time, so I'm like, I gotta get into the sauna. So it's me and one other dude in the sauna, and I'm talking away, and I look over at him a few times just to see if he's giving me a glare or whatever, just to try to be considerate. And
Make sure there's no
yeah,
feelings. covered.
yeah, he wasn't naked or anything. That would make things funnier. But so anyway, out of nowhere, I just look up and the guy's like, "Enjoy your phone call," and he just slams the sauna door, and I'm like, "Fuck you!"
After he's out.
No, I mean, I don't know if he probably heard me, but I'm like, and I'm sitting there, I'm kind of like, now I'm all by myself in the sauna. I'm
Pissed.
talking to Rob. We're like, what the hell? Then Rob starts getting into a fight with somebody at the gas station, but we won't go there. So I'm sitting there. I'm like, wow, that was crazy. And then I'm like, well, I have to think about my part in this. It's pretty rude. You're in the sauna, you're relaxing. I'm on the phone. I'm obviously loud, talking about whatever and taking away from this guy's time. But on the other hand, it's the freaking YMCA. It's a public thing. It's like, whatever. It is what it is,
Yeah.
So I'm still on the phone with Rob. He comes back, opens the door, goes, "Are you still on? You enjoying your call?" I go, "Yeah, I am." And then he walks back away.
And Donnie says, "Fuck you."
So no,
That's the most Eastern Massachusetts
Yeah.
thing.
That is
Yeah, that's probably-
I've heard.
so Boston.
Yeah.
So Boston, so New York, we're not the Southerners who are a lot nicer
Not
than
warm
us.
and fuzzy.
You're just like, fuck you. He's like, fuck you. Hey, fuck you.
Well, he had the balls to come
Yeah,
back,
fuck
so I
you
give
more.
him credit for that.
Yeah, that's props. To him.
So anywho, another guy comes in and I'm looking over at him and I'm still on the phone. So I go, "Rob, hold on a minute." And I lean over to the guy and I'm like, "Hey, like," I guess I didn't lean over to him. We're like in towels. But I was like, "Hey, is it bothering you that I'm on my phone?" And the guy's like, "Yeah, actually it is." So I'm like, here we go. So I'm like, "All right, Rob, I'm going to get off the phone. I don't want to be inconsiderate." So I just wanted to posit that story. I want people to just kind of run their own ideas about it because I'm really not that apologetic about it. We're going to go through a lot of stuff. I don't want people to get a glitch in what I'm saying and all the ideas we bring forward, but I do not feel that bad about it because
Well,
I'll leave it at that.
We're curious to hear what the listeners think about that. But it's circles with the topic, right? Consideration, and do we need to? Are these things that we should consider, right? These specific examples, right? And you sort of realize a little bit about yourself when these things happen, and you also realize a little bit about others when these things happen. So,
Absolutely.
I think Kyle has the definition of consideration.
I do. I'm going to read the definition of consideration, everybody.
All
All right.
We wanted our literary guy to read it because he's very eloquent.
I do. I love literature. I love poetry. I write poetry. I publish some poetry. I just love to say that and brag. It's time I publish some more.
It's a great poet.
So the definition of consideration, and I'm going to be considerate real quick and just give a shout out to Dave Lewis, our tech guy, our production guy, sitting back there, just doing a wonderful job. Anyway,
Get you, Dave.
Dave, this definition applies to you too, because I think this really encompasses what you do for us and to you guys. That's all you're going to get for compliment section this episode, guys. All right. So the definition of consideration is careful thought, typically over a period of time, a long process involving a great deal of careful consideration. In parentheses, it says over time. A payment. Now, definition number 2 is a payment or reward. You can buy the books for a small consideration. So consideration is really important. And Ryan had the idea or Rudy, was it your idea for the 3rd installment of the building block series?
It was Rudy's idea, yeah.
Consideration?
Yeah. I think collectively we agree on these things together. But I was just thinking, like, in the process of everything, you want to be vulnerable. You want to be truthful. You want to trust and honesty. You got to make a decision, and you really, in order to make decisions in life and in ventures, you got to consider things. So
yes, I agree. I agree with that. Now Ryan put in a chat AI, the Chat GPT consideration, and here's what it spit out. And it's making me feel a type of way because it's a poem, and a computer wrote it. And in matters of kind consideration, a word with a noble foundation, it ponders with care, shows others we're aware. This is kind of funny. A virtue that builds a strong relation. It's so wild to me that a computer.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it just.
I wish it didn't come from a computer.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it just has access to like billions and billions of
data points.
Yeah. But it's interesting.
Well, it's cool because it's taking words that people created, right? But the fact of how the velocity in which it happens on ChatGPT, it's literally in a second.
Yeah,
you get
spits it right out.
That,
Yeah.
Actually, it wasn't even me. It was my roommate Joe. He uses it all the time, and he typed it in. And I was like, I got to put that in the notes there. So
nice.
I thought that was
pretty cool. It's a pretty cool idea. No, it is neat, and I think it just speaks to how AI is. I don't really like it personally, but AI is really kind of taking over. So,
Yeah,
it really is. To go right into what we're going to talk about, we're going to talk about various topics in which consideration plays in your everyday life. And Rudy kind of put an acronym to this to keep us on track, and hopefully we can really be concise and kind of get to the end of this episode. So the acronym is YOPS, and I'll let Rudy take it away. That's Y.O.P.S.
Yeah, Donnie took the initiative to go ahead and put some examples in our set, in our preparatory list. And I'm more of like a big picture guy. I want to see, how I can generalize and maybe give you guys some perspective if you're not experiencing these specific examples, right? So YOPS is the acronym, and it stands for yourself, others, path, and surroundings. And in general, these are the 4 main categories you'd want to consider as you go through life, as you pursue ventures, as you pursue goals. I think sequentially they work too. So you really have to focus on yourself first to get anything done.
Yep.
Focus on what makes you tick. Focus on what you are passionate about, and how you really want to pursue that life goal, or what goal you want to pursue. You got to think internally on that, and that's the first step. So I know Dottie's got some examples, and Kyle's probably got some examples too.
I'm just thinking about yourself and distractions lately for me, because entertainment can really just keep you away from yourself.
Absolutely.
If you're not focusing on bettering yourself or getting in the gym or
Yeah.
reading a book
Yeah.
or working on a book if you're trying to write a book or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of traps out there.
And I don't want it to sound narcissistic either. Like, you obviously you can consider what you want to do to better yourself, but at the same time, the next step is others, right? So it'll be a continued thought process over time.
Well, it's like it goes back to my philosophy with parenting, right? You can't
Yes.
be a good parent if you're not taking care of yourself. And
Right.
some might say, "Oh, well, how dare he say you can't make your kids your world?" You're missing the greater message there. There's a greater philosophical. There's a greater way to intellectualize, and process what I was that point I had.
Right.
And it takes a stronger mind, and I will say maybe a more brilliant way of thinking to really understand how you can't in a relationship love someone well if you're not taking care of yourself
Or loving yourself.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it's exactly right, and it's easy for the world to say, it does sound selfish or something, but truly at the core, it's not. So.
And I love how Rudy built this out, and we're gonna dive right into this, but it's funny. I thought of that story about what Kyle said the last episode when we were talking about this, because you have to consider yourself, not selfishly,
right,
in order to build yourself up, love yourself, and then that leads to the next topic, which is others.
Right.
Yeah.
To help your family and the others in your life, you have to start with yourself, and then from family it goes to community, and then from community it goes to the world.
Yep.
Perfect. It's a perfect order.
Yep.
And and I heard that somewhere. I don't really know where, but I wish I could take credit for it, but it was something that I heard. But that's how you want to build yourself up. And the people who are really thought leaders or making significant change in the world, that's the order in which they had to do it. So I wanted to give this specific topics to keep it moving.
Yeah.
And I think one way to consider yourself and a great place for people to start is at the gym.
Mm.
I just started going to the gym myself, my personal journey, about 2 years ago. And it's affected my mental health in a positive way. It's helped my physique. I've been able to try to nurse injuries, and I kind of just went into it full steam ahead. And I feel like I see a lot of people do this. Not that I'm any physical trainer, but I'm trying to be considerate or take consideration into going into the gym almost as if I'm a professional athlete now. Because as I get older, I'm starting to nurse injuries and stuff. And I actually worked with a young kid. Shout out to this kid, Alexi, at the YMCA. He did a couple free training sessions with me, and we focused on my shoulder the first time, and then the issues I was having with my knee the second time. And it really got me to take a step back, having these injuries and just being so lucky in my 20s and really not having injuries, just being able to play through stuff in basketball and everything. And now that I'm starting to come up with these things, it's up to me, myself, to take the consideration and the time out of my busy life to look into the science, to practice these type of movements and mobility and strength training, and do it in a way that's going to better myself and my body, so I'm as healthy as I can be for my friends, the others around me, and my family in the future that I'm hoping to build
you
out.
just feel better, so you're having a better day, and it's a micro interaction, a micro consideration.
Yeah.
When you go to the gym and you feel better, and
but it has a much greater effect.
It does,
right?
Right, because every day compounds, and you just might find that you're more patient, you're in a better mood. So
yeah,
absolutely,
you're more patient with people. You're just in a better mood. You're more positive, and vibrant.
You get those endorphins flowing.
Yep.
And
Rudy's been going to the CrossFit early in the morning, and I struggle getting up early because I've been staying up late. But I've been kind of going in the middle of the day when it's slower. Everyone who's gone to the gym has had that feeling where they just got out of bed and they just smashed a workout early in the morning. And man,
it's a good feeling.
You just feel, you might crash a little bit around noon. I'm not going to lie, but man, do you just feel great? You're hitting the phones or you're hitting your computer or the emails, whatever you got to do. And I just really wanted to just talk about how that relates to people's lives. And I think that a good place to start is at the gym, because I was listening to a thing the other day. It was at Jocko Wilking or Willenick, Jocko?
I've heard.
He's the ex-Navy SEAL and stuff.
Yep.
He was like 100 days. Anything you want to be good at, just start with 100 days.
Yeah.
So go to the gym for 100 days and you will see that improvement, and it will really make a noticeable difference. And I think help you out.
Yep. Yeah, right. It's and back to the YOPS, starts with yourself and your physical self, and you take care of your physical, mental, and spiritual self. and that is going to expound and expand your world so that you can really start considering others, right?
Rudy, you really might be onto something here with the Y.O.P.S. man.
I'm pumped about it. I'm gonna get it
Now that
printed
we're
on
talking
all
about
these
it,
freaking
yeah.
shirts, and
I'm getting sold on.
Rudy's gonna buy so many. I'm
I'm
working
gonna
on
buy
getting us
so
better
many-
prices
so
and
much
stuff.
merch.
'Cause
Get yourself a Dave. Still needs to go on a shirt.
Oh,
though,
oh,
before
that's
anything.
an order.
Oh, I gotta show you guys 1 second. I got this.
Let's
Oh,
pull it out.
okay.
I
Wow,
gotta
a
show you.
little
All right.
movement. I like
Oh,
this.
wow.
Yeah.
Show you guys.
We need to be a little less stagnant.
This isn't
If this will get yourself a Dave shop.
this isn't a commercial. We promise.
All right.
No.
Check it out.
Does it say get yourself a Dave? Yes,
Get
dude.
you a Dave.
Get you a Dave.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
We didn't know that you had that. I
He
didn't
just
know you had that.
pulled that.
Uh,
Can you show the camera the backpacks too? Are the backpacks
Get
in
you
the
a
shot?
Dave.
Let's show that for a
I've
minute.
got a few backpacks here, folks. Yeah, so I spent way too much money on merch. Nobody's buying it yet. If you guys want stuff, go on to our website. You can buy it. You can buy the hat beanies there. We'll get these posted. We'll have shirts up as well. But
yeah,
I want
it's-
everybody to be swagged out. I want you guys to be part of this community. I'm excited about where it's going.
Gotta grind it like a machine.
Gotta grind it.
Yep.
Gotta grind it. So
And that's I think that I'm gonna try to tie this in the best that I can.
Should we-
shameless plug.
Should we move on? Yeah, no, that was
Yeah,
off
no,
the cuff.
I
That
wanna
was
move
nice.
on. And it's like we don't expect. This is our third episode. We don't expect anybody to buy our stuff or whatever, but we want people to go along this journey with us. And I think that really plays into the Y.O.P.S. Not to go overboard with tying it in, but
Well, we're about 18 minutes in. Should we hit letter P?
yeah,
What's P
Yeah.
stand for?
So P is path. And what I was thinking there, you need to get yourself right and you need to get your team around you. And then you need to figure out what your next step is. And that is going to take you on that path, right? That is going to take you in a direction towards whatever the common goal is of the team and what your life goal is of yourself.
I don't want to. And Kyle's right to keep us on track. I don't want to, hold us up too much, but it's just an example of how you can really affect others, right? It's like in your relationship, right? I just want to. One of our clips, I talked about Gina. Gina's like, talk about me and you guys will do good. She's so cute, but but just like even just that consideration. I know this sounds stupid, but I just right before we move to path, like, taking that time to say, you look great today, or going out to dinner, and just that consideration that you take in a relationship, those small little microcosms or micro changes or considerations really can just make the world of a difference in any relationship. Or texting your friend you haven't talked to in a while, and I might have mentioned that in one of the other episodes.
agree.
Wow. But yeah, texting somebody, oh, hey man, I've been thinking about you. Like those little things,
I should call you more.
I think when you get to the point where you're really considering yourself and you feel good and you've gone to the gym, you're going to reach out to those people that you care about. You're going to consider them. You're going to take that extra step with the people in your life.
Yeah, you
And
want
that
them on
just-
your
yeah.
path.
Yeah, exactly. And that
Yeah.
rolls right into the path. Yeah.
Amen. Yes, exactly. And once you get on that path too, and we can circle around this a little bit. Once you get on that path, you're gonna get yourself to a surrounding, right? And that's the S. And you'll assess that surrounding. You'll see if you were on the right path. You'll take some thoughts and decisions as to whether you want to keep on that path or deviate. And so the surrounding piece is really where you want to get to, right? What you're envisioning as your end goal. So that is the Y.O.P.S acronym in a nutshell. And it goes sequentially to achieve your life goals.
And I think I just realized a cycle with it too. If you arrive at a surrounding that you don't like, after you try to apply this, you go back to yourself. You go back to why.
Beautiful, Kyle. I didn't think of that.
Wow.
And that is a beautiful thing to
What
do,
can I
man.
say?
I think this is why we need others. This is
Yes.
why we need team.
And yeah.
You get all the credit though for thinking of that. I think that's really cool. And when it just hit me as you were talking about it, so I'm sold on it more hearing you talk about it, and I'm actually really impressed that you came up with it. True.
I love how you tied that together, Kyle. That was beautiful because I had put down all these ideas, guys, about like how you can be considerate in different aspects of your life, but it was a little all over the place.
Or
And-
more specific, right? Just more specific.
Well, then
examples.
that's Rudy's strength, right? He, like you said, you need to be more like organized,
Big
and
picture.
big picture, and to tie
Yeah.
that in really helped us get through this, and whatever 20 something minutes, and not take up the entire episode rambling about the same thing. So Kyle just really put a good loop on it, because, and I was going to say what you were
I
going to
try
say.
to be good for something.
Yeah.
Kyle
Guys,
was
yeah.
almost on time today.
Yeah, it was
guys,
just only about 10 minutes late. or
I
something.
was here
was
at
considerate.
9:30, 9:40.
Yeah, 9:40, I'd say, but
What was the target? 9:30.
9:30.
I did it, guys.
and we didn't lie to him.
I did
And we didn't lie to him.
it.
Yeah, little-
Good job,
maybe
Kyle.
put some applause noise in the background
Yeah,
there, Dave. But no,
yeah, can we edit something in it?
The most to be considerate to Kyle, the most impressive part about that is that we didn't lie to him and say it was 8:30 or 9.
Yeah.
He actually was
Yeah.
only 10 minutes late from the time that we gave him.
From
and
the
we,
real time.
we trusted him.
I
We trusted him.
That's consideration. I was like, these guys work so hard. Truly, this past week they did all the work. I would say more so this past week. I didn't really do much with the script and the ideas. I'm a big idea guy in our meetings, and I kind of piss them off a lot, because I like to say, no, guys, you're
No,
wrong.
not you.
I'm just very, I'm very very convicted in my perceptions. However, I need to consider that other people's perceptions are also important. But I try to do, anytime I do have a perception, I want it to be objective, because I know if we have an objective and want to reach an end goal, I try to see all the truths that will really trip us up, but anyway.
Yeah, to that end, Kyle, we all really want this to be successful. And
Yeah,
that
you guys have done great.
And that is that is the root of the basis.
True. Just working together like that intimately every day. It takes a lot of consideration, and it takes a lot of, we get creative disagreements, and
Oh yeah,
If that's what you
I
want
want
to
to
call
just just choke these motherfuckers out.
we're not even friends after this is done. We don't even talk. We don't even hang out outside of this anymore.
It's a constant. It's a constant.
We
battle.
just
It's a
agreed.
guy's affair.
I think we just agreed that our faces were good looking enough to be
We-
sitting
to
across from-
continue.
We just, yeah, right.
I'm just wearing these sunglasses to block the bags under my eyes.
Well, anyway, that was. I mean, that was beautiful.
And the fact, guys, the fact that we actually went through that somewhat concisely, I just want to say that part of our intention of doing this podcast, guys, was to show people that you can just create things and build things
From nothing. Yeah.
every episode, block by block.
Yeah,
And but you have to, like, you can see even us as we get more organized. We're trying to make the episodes more organized, and giving yourself acronyms or these ideas and positing things forward and really thinking them through. It goes to thinking, hey, you know what? I'm gonna do that little extra special thing for my somebody when they get home from the gym. I'm gonna actually take time to plan out my workout and my diet plan, right? Or I'm gonna think about these things before I do them, and it's not gonna happen overnight just because you put a little bit of thought into it or you did a Google search. It's gonna
Right.
take time, and that's what we're really trying to show in this podcast series, in the Blockhead series, and then moving forward with the interviews and such, is just that this is new to us, but we're slowly trying to get better, and we're just showing people, hopefully in real time, what some of the little ideas that just kind of stumble on our laps as we work our way through this.
Yeah.
Okay.
As we show up
Yeah.
every day.
So we've got two more building blocks in our Blockhead series.
Yep,
Blockhead,
and we'll
Block series, so.
we won't spill the
We,
beans on those.
we won't spill the beans on those just yet.
No.
We'll keep a little cliffhanger there.
Yeah,
Rudy, I mean, so Rudy, bring us into the current events. Me and Kyle
We got
don't
the
even
current
know.
events section.
Yeah,
Got
Here
There's
we are.
notes
Things,
here.
this is
Mr. Organized.
Got a few
AKA
things happening here.
Yeah,
things to consider.
Things to consider. So along with YOPS, obviously there's outside factors, and you'll continually have to reassess and go through that YOPS cadence every time you come across something new. So
What do we got? What do we got for today?
yeah, it's
This is
exciting.
this is gonna be interesting.
These gentlemen haven't heard it yet. I did a little search, tried to pick some interesting topics, worldly topics that would really impact you all and us as we move through our lives here. So this first one's economics. It's a Business Insider article. The German bank braces for a wave of bad loans in the greatest real estate crisis since the financial crisis. So what's occurring in Germany is they have about $250 million, or I'm sorry, PBB, the Deutsche Bank of Fender Brief Bank. Fender Brief.
You don't have to read German.
Yeah,
words,
I'm sorry.
We'll put it on the bottom of the
I
screen
did
or
not
something.
practice the Fender Brief.
Yeah.
Fender Bink. Anyways, there's about 231 million in bad loans or in losses this past month, and that's going to put a world of hurt on
So in
the
layman's
German
terms for the audience, what does that mean?
It means that bank is.
What are those loans? So people are not paying on those loans.
Yeah,
correct?
these are mortgage loans.
Okay.
And they are on the brink of bankrupting the individuals.
This would be similar to the 2008 financial crisis, I guess.
That is the insider's perspective.
Yeah.
In Germany, huh?
In
Wow.
Germany. So this may have broader reaching impacts, but I wanted to just get your take on it and what you might think would come of it.
It's it's scary. I mean, Germany has been on the up and up since World War II. Really, they, the United Nations owed them a debt to kind of rebuild with them and kind of reignite their infrastructure after it was sadly destroyed after World War II.
Yeah,
that is so well known in the history books, and not that long ago actually. But I just feel like I worry about. I relate it back to America and our current. Housing
is it going to
market.
impact us?
You have people now. I'm actively looking at houses, and you see these ranch homes with 70s carpeting that my grandmother had, or my aunt Dolores, and
That's a good one.
and a roof that's falling in, and they want $350,000 for it. The product isn't matching the price that is being asked. So you have sellers that are setting the market price, right? It's basic economics.
Yeah.
And
Supply and
people want the product because, well, they're looking around, they're seeing that every product is set for that price, and they're like, well, might as well. Especially when there's a demand for it, you pay that price, and then before you know it, you're upside down in negative equity because what you paid for, it's going to go way down in value due to a dollar tanking, and it must be happening there, I'm assuming. So
yeah, that is the crux of it.
yeah,
Well,
it's scary. It's scary stuff because it leaves people homeless, and then it affects jobs, and it's just
I really like how you related it back to America, Kyle, in the 2008 crisis. But I want to, what I know about Germany, and it's not, I'm not a historian by any means, but what I know from recent research and podcasts and other things like that is that the farmers are also on strike.
Oh, that's interesting.
So the farmers are on this massive strike. They're, blocking off roads and doing all these things, and it's actually effective.
I did see that. Yeah.
It's effective in they're actually making progress inside of that because
Ryan, I'm sorry to interrupt, but would you mind sharing why the farmers were striking?
So yeah, I'd love to. So actually, part of like they got wrapped into the Green New Deal, and part of this whole crisis with Germany in general is because, well, I'll go to the farmers first. They put sanctions on the farmers that they would have to basically dispose of and get rid of cows,
right?
Because they were getting rid of
because allegedly it's bad for the environment.
The ethanol from
they
the
were
from the
against
manure.
ESG standards.
I personally don't believe that. I think
that's a crock of crap, and this is where I'm glad you brought this up because I can really dive into this. So
yeah, it pisses me
yeah.
off.
So this Green New Deal hunk of shit, and then you have them saying that they need to kill cows because of ethanol when there's all these other things going on. What's crazy is that Germany actually had an amazing infrastructure of nuclear power plants. They shut them all down. And now, because they went into this Green New Deal, their energy prices are one of the highest in the entire world. And as we've seen, even in our own state and our country, those energy prices are crippling the economy and now probably trickling over into real estate. So I don't want to get too far off the topic of the actual real estate.
Well, it's funny because one of the follow-on articles actually tries to go a little bit further into ESG and what
it's all
what the global economic forum
consequences.
is
Well, ESG is
doing with
environmental social governance,
right?
And that's all wrapped into the Green New Deal and what's some of the things with BlackRock, and we'll talk about in the future.
You're just saying so many trigger words for me, and I just want to go in right now.
So we can for a little bit. We're doing okay with time. I want to wrap this thought up real quick, and then we can go into it.
Yeah.
But what Germany's doing hypocritically is that they're telling them that they have to kill cows, but at the same time they're burning lignite, which is like one of the worst emission versions of coals, right? And they're also buying nuclear energy from France and these other places. So it's basically a shitstorm, and it's crazy because Kyle mentioned they were on the up and up. They were on the up and up since World War II and the tragedy that happened, and just to see how these weird overarching things that are supposedly for good, and maybe some people have the right intentions. I'm not gonna, posit that, but when sometimes the solution isn't always better than what's going on currently.
Mhm.
And they've just completely, I mean, what's going on with their energy prices is crippling them economically. And now you see that for people to get ahead, because the way that the economy is going, you have all these mortgage brokers just
It's not logical.
giving loans for everything. And now the government's gonna have to bail them out. And that just like we did in our country. And it's sad to see.
And you know, the government, here's the thing, the government knows it's going to happen. There's a movie that was made about, it's called The Big Short.
Mhm.
And it's basically at the end you find out that the U.S. government knew what was going to happen. They just didn't care. They didn't care that the banks were going to fall apart.
Great reference. Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's hard to think that that's not similar.
Those are your leaders that know. They don't care because it doesn't affect them, and that's true. That's a harsh truth. But anyway, the Green Initiative, in my opinion, is a crock of shit. The Earth is so plentiful. You can take 8 billion people and fit them in one of the smallest countries on Earth, and there would still be room to stretch out your arms. That's 8 billion people with enough room to stand with your arms spread out. That's how big the Earth is. Now, if you think about that, the resources of the Earth are almost infinite. You're being sold, you're being marketed the idea that they're
A scarcity
that they're
mindset.
scarce, right? It's a scarcity mindset because you have a rich 1%.
And well, it goes right back to economics.
They want to monopolize it. They actually just want it's just your rich 1% that want all the resources. So they're going to convince the mass populace through data, and you know what they use a word
Selective data.
You're right.
Yep.
And they hang it on the word science, because when people hear science, they think, oh, it's legitimate. And I know a lot of this sounds
Conspiratorial.
yeah, which is unfortunate, right? Because that's just a negative term that really doesn't want people to think, and to say, hey, and wake up and like, storm your capital and be like, this needs to change because you're destroying our infrastructure, our economics.
Yeah.
This is not what the people want. Farming is one of the best things for the earth and for mankind, hands down.
Yep.
Cows' farts are not putting holes in the ozone
it's
layer.
a crazy idea.
It is, yeah. And it's just it's and they're forcing farmers to do that. It's a tragedy, and it's also,
I believe a lot of that started in Norway and kind of worked its way down, or one of those Norwegians.
Yeah, and I guess when you get in the housing market, I mean, just you hear guys like Carl Schwab says at these economic forums.
I think it's Charles Schwab.
Whatever. Fuck
It's
him.
weird how you spell the last name. Too,
I could give a shit about his name, but he tells you, he looks to you as he's on this world stage and says, you're going to own nothing in the future and you're going to like it. Those are fighting words. I mean, those words should really scare people.
Yeah. I
and that
agree.
includes, so that gets back to housing. That includes the housing market,
Right.
And that's
Right. What's one of the reasons why big equity firms have sort of scooped up everything at this point, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
BlackRock and all that, and to just keep it rolling, I want to get into
it was a great topic, Rudy. Wow.
Well, the next one
well done.
is sort of along those lines. So those big equity firms, those big banks, J.P. Morgan, State Street, have all withdrawn from the Global Climate Alliance at this point. So it sort of contradicts what we're saying, sort of, right? They want to preach climate and resource scarcity issues,
climate consideration,
yeah. But they're also withdrawing. So this is a big Republican initiative for banks to withdraw from this because there's a lot of funding and money going into it. For instance, Jim Jordan is quoted, "Today's decision by J.P. Morgan and State Street are big wins for freedom of the American economy, and we hope more financial institutions follow suit and abandon collusive ESG actions."
I will. Yeah. Well, I think that I'm going to take my glasses off for this because people need to see the look in my eyes when I'm talking about this. Getting over a little cold though. So, but it's funny how these topics tie together because they really do. And something that Joe Rogan does a great job of, one of our inspirations for doing this, obviously everybody who has a podcast has to look to him for guidance because of how well he's done.
Yeah.
He would always ask people, who are the they?
Yeah.
Who are the they? But now, as he speaks about it and more independent journalists and podcasts talk about these things, we're starting to put answers to that question, right? The Carl Schwabs, the BlackRock, the ESG, the World Economic Forum, Those are the they.
Yeah,
Just in case you're wondering.
trilateral commissions, your
Exactly.
your Henry Kissinger's, I mean, these people, a lot of them were in your own
Yep.
American government.
Absolutely. So
Um,
seeing these companies pull out of ESG is great, and I think it's I hope that there's not something nefarious going around in the background that we don't know about, but it's a good indicator that these big corporations who rely on the people, right, as a whole, are seeing that they can't continue to stick by these ESG guidelines, standards that are actually crippling them, just like it's crippled basically the entire German.
I'll take it a step.
Yeah.
I'll take it a step further down the rabbit hole. That was
Right.
it was well articulated.
Yeah.
It certainly appears that way, right? A lot of them at the top, when you are at the top of a giant banking firm or a giant bank or financial institution,
Yep.
you have access to information that most people on the earth are not privy to.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of theories and a lot of evidence actually that shows what they're doing is they're just toppling the current structure of order, and these financial institutions pushing back, so to speak, see the writing on the wall. They know that you hear the term New World Order, but they're trying to reorder and reorganize, if you will, everything into one global structure that will essentially make decisions that will affect the globe. So these institutions that have national ties, they're probably going to go down anyway, because either you're gonna play along and you're gonna buy into the structure that is going along with these standards for the environment,
yeah,
or you're not. But it's a little startling, but you like to think that, like, oh, they're trying to fight for a more democratic republic, or whatever the phrase is.
Yeah, more democratic consensus. But I mean, and that's all we can do is hope, right? Try to take the.
Well, all we can do is consider it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you can consider
well,
it. Yeah.
So going back to consideration, yeah, like we need to be
grow some vegetables in your backyard.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, that's the whole thing, right? I think in general, we just as a people need to educate ourselves.
Yeah, awareness
on what
consider it. Yeah.
what is going
You're
to help us, one, survive, and two, achieve those life goals that we're trying to, really work at and get to in our lives. Everybody's got dreams. I certainly do. This achieving success at this podcast is one of them. If we don't consider these outside influences and what people and higher up institutions are trying to do to control or influence us, we're just walking blind, right? We're not following anything. We're gonna just take it as it comes, type deal. But we don't want to do that.
Yeah, and people use the term sheep, and it really
I hate that term.
I hate it as well. A lot of these terms might raise a couple eyebrows here, but things are going on. Some of this truth is coming to light, and taking consideration for yourself and others in your life, and what's in your 401k, and how you move your money around, and what you're going to buy. Some of these topics are tough. Some of these topics that we cover might get people to stop listening to us, but we're just asking people to do their research, be considerate. So when they're making investments for the rest of their life and for their family, and things that are really going to affect the trajectory of their family's life and what they want to accomplish, all this stuff plays into it. And you don't want to, have to go down a rabbit hole, but I don't think you need to peel back that many layers of the onion, especially in the information age,
to get to
the core of it, to at least make the best. All you can do is make the best educated decision at the time.
Yeah.
And that's really what we're trying to put forward.
That's tough for Germany.
Really tough.
And hopefully
it back to Germany.
Hopefully it's not a sign of
it's
to come
well,
like other countries.
I didn't bring the other articles out, but Britain's in a recession right now. It is getting worse over there. It's shutting doors. So it's a Europe, broader Europe issue too. I don't have a doubt that it will impact America at some point. Just want to think about these things and sort of prepare. Just prepare. Try to best prepare yourself.
I'm curious as to what you have for an article.
The third.
Oh, the third. Oh, that.
Oh,
Oh,
Well,
so the
it's the
second.
British.
Gotcha.
Sorry,
yeah.
third last current event is regarding AI.
Yeah,
Is it all-
right,
is
right
it
in
You
the
know,
bones.
it's funny.
AI,
all
it's
tied
funny
to
that
the
phone, you know?
everything's tying together here.
Edgar Allan AI.
How's it going?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So,
Far too kind.
tech companies sign accord to combat AI-generated election thievery, and also, just to add on to this, there's new legislation in Massachusetts that is trying to mitigate or regulate or criminalize fake porn generated by AI. For instance, the Taylor Swift picture that was generated of her topless at the AFC Championship game. So I wanted to get your take on the collaboration of these tech companies, which include Adobe, Amazon, Google, IBM, Meta, Microsoft, OpenAI, and TikTok.
I'm scum. I know.
Speaking of technology,
Shut
this guy
that
didn't even
freaking
come.
phone off,
Scum.
dude.
I'm so sorry.
You go into the concert and freaking has his phone on.
Jesus.
I mean, Jesus, this guy.
All right.
So that's loaded, right?
It is loaded.
It's
There's
a loaded
a lot in there.
question, right? So I really don't even know where to start, but I will say that in a way, going against the grain on some of this stuff, like I said, I mean, some of that, the AI generated stuff with Taylor Swift or other people, and I mean, some of these videos can ruin people's life. So
Yeah.
there has to be some
Regulation around it.
regulation around that. But from there, I mean, what are you gonna? I mean, what are you thinking?
Well, my concerns stems from the largest, richest, most powerful tech companies collaborating on this. And I don't, you get all these people in the room and they start talking about other things. And they have so much data on every single one of us.
Sure.
This is just my level of concern, but at the same time I agree. We need to, people should not be making fake porn videos and posting them to the public.
Well, and it's like you also have these people like Google and stuff who actively during COVID and these other things, I'm not even going to get into that rabbit hole right now, but restricted data and information and people's activity along with Twitter and, Facebook and some of these other sites. Right.
Yeah.
So, you get these people working on stuff and it's like, okay, well, like you said, getting them all in the same room it's something to consider.
Yeah.
It's definitely something to consider. And it's a great topic. So I think definitely we should keep a beat on that and continue to kind of look at that and how it can best serve us. So,
Yeah. Well, how to best navigate it. Right.
yeah, absolutely.
How it's going to fit on our path.
Now, let's roll into our sponsors. To anybody out there who has a business, I don't care if it's art and crafts, I don't care if you're selling lollipops, I don't care if you're selling spaceships, you can give us a discount code. We're not asking you for money up front. That money can be paid in residuals off the back end. We would love to support your platform and help you help us, right? Help us help you, vice versa. We want to get out there. We want to do this fight together. We need to team up with these other people and we need to get these sponsors out there, goddammit. So first off, we have Gilly Puck. It is the best hunting apparatus in the game. Hunting just got tactical. Our buddy Rob there, who actually went to Westfield State, which is awesome, has this company and it's really crushing it. We're hoping to get that into some major department stores and he's really doing well with the online orders. And then we have the Tack Room Restaurant in Lincoln, Massachusetts. Our buddy Mike over there. Great food, great cuisine. We always shout out to Chef Dan. He's really helped things out over there. And we're looking forward to hopefully getting some reviews out there and doing a little Boston trip. And we'll make sure to go to Tack Room and get some footage for it.
And lastly, shout out to Hootin' Nannies, where you can go and have yourself a time. Get yourself a pint and have a nice hold down at Hootin' Nannies.
I don't know if this is really like we're in like the country too much, but there's some residuals. There's some of the towns around here, right? If you go a little bit,
yeah, we're in the
if you go,
sticks.
it's
We're
pretty
in the
rural.
sticks a little
Just
bit here.
10 minutes,
You know
you're in
what
the
thing or two
sticks.
about a Hootin' Nanny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe
a powwow. I don't know. I can never do accents. I suck at it.
Well, how are you guys doing?
Yeah.
How are we doing? How was the week?
All right, guys, I just want to say, to each their own, and people can have their opinion of CrossFit, but guys, I get up at fucking 4:30 in the morning. and I
Yeah,
go to
CrossFit's a
the
little
gym
weird.
at 5 in,
That's crazy.
and I
Because
get
I know
it
what time
done.
because I know what time you go to bed.
Yeah, I get it done, and it's so great. I feel great. I feel better.
Your body is transforming.
I
Yes,
appreciate
you
it.
look
Yeah,
strong.
and to back to the 100-day thing, I've been doing it just about that.
Oh, good for you.
And
not easy.
I plan to continue.
No.
Right, but once you get there, I really look forward to it. It's
I
something.
feel you're probably doing a more like healthier. Oops.
Freaking guy, dude.
This guy, he came on time, but everything, he's beeping from every direction. Next thing you know, his butthole's going to start beeping.
It's time for my meds.
Get out the box every day of the week.
yeah. Just
The
kidding.
pill box.
No, but it is
I probably
good.
need Adderall though. I should probably go get checked out.
Yeah,
But,
we all do.
but
Let's
yeah.
be
Anyway,
honest.
Rudy. Excuse me before my watch rudely interrupted. There's a bomb going off. So I feel like it's a more like, CrossFit got a bad rep because it's like people were swinging on the bars, being wild, and like just
Yeah.
it looked rough on the joints and the body ups, and some of it's pretty cool. Like I'm sorry, most of it is very effective body strength, movement,
Yeah.
explosive,
Fast switch motion.
anaerobic, aerobic.
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing about it. You get up, you don't necessarily want to go, you should go, and seeking that discomfort and just getting through it, it sets you up for success throughout the rest of the day. It sets you up for, if you ever go through another discomfort in the rest of your day, in the rest of your week, you can sort of just push through it. And I've touched on that in an episode too.
That's great.
This is actually, I'm really happy that we're speaking about CrossFit because there's some things that we kind of glossed over. There's I meant to look up his name, Lou or whatever his name is in Pittsfield. He's the mind-body connection.
Uh-huh.
There is actual research when you're like watching yourself do curls or whatever it may be, being very intentional about the last little bit, the squeeze, the descend.
Oh, every rep should be.
Yep.
Every rep should be
nice as well.
considered, right? And it's like when you take consideration even into your mind-body connection as you go through any type of workout, or if you're trying to refix your golf swing,
yeah,
I think that this consideration really plays out into that. And it's cool how CrossFit, they really focus on your form, and then you do
Form,
these
yeah.
tough things where the form is very important,
Yep.
and you need to really dig into the
or
the
they
roots
know,
of that,
or
the
they know,
mechanics of it.
or they know rep you, and that's even worse, right?
Sounds like you go to a very good gym.
yeah.
Oh, great coaches over there at Steel Vault in South, or I think it's Westfield actually. Steel Vault and Westfield on Route 10. They've really helped transform me physically and mentally.
You
Actually,
know who I ran into not that long ago. I didn't recognize him at first, and somebody I was just talking to goes to his gym sometimes for personal training is Matt Boudreau.
Oh yeah.
Who was a beast of an athlete.
Still a beast, right?
And he's an ox.
Yeah.
I didn't recognize him in the bank, so I kind of looked at him sideways. He had like a beard and everything, and he was probably like, "What the hell is wrong with this guy?"
This guy always looks at people sideways. Yeah. Gets himself into trouble.
Whoa! Do I? Do I do that?
I don't know. Do you?
Just awkward.
Sorry.
The most recent thing.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Yeah. We don't got that.
Yeah, we don't gotta. Yeah. So Matty Boudreau,
Yeah.
has Shire Fitness in
Yeah.
Pittsfield.
Yep.
It's
a moving gym. He's got all the equipment.
And I think he's got a physical location too. And he's a knowledgeable cat when it comes to that stuff. So I hit him up and I was like, "Hey man, I might want to do a couple sessions just to specialize for when I'm training in." And
Oh yeah.
because that's just important, And,
Oh yeah.
but we should talk to him and see if maybe he'll want to come on sometime.
Oh yeah. He's built what he's got for a business over there, and
I'm impressed by him, yeah.
people that have
Awesome.
go through him. I mean,
Yeah.
there's obvious change, and he's a good guy to learn from. He went to Springfield College.
Yep.
Very knowledgeable.
Bringing people on is going to be very interesting because it's going to be great to bring people on who've done things and built their own little successes in their life. And we
Right.
can actually look at that, bring it back to our building blocks, and just give those little nuggets of information that we want just to
Right.
try to,
Or
help people just with little tips here and there to move the ball forward and achieve the things they've always wanted to achieve. Yeah.
There was he's a prominent podcaster. I forget his name. God, I wish I forget.
Gosh.
Keep going. I might know who it is.
He mentioned, the first person that does something might have to do it 10 times. You know, they fail, they got to do it again. They fail, they got to do it again. They fail, they got to do it again. Tweak it, got to do it again. 10th time, they might get it right. 20th time, 100th time. Anyways, that person has done it. The second person has to do it maybe once or twice,
Yeah,
right?
that's
To know that it's been done right or
Good
being
little
done
quote.
right. Yeah. So to give those examples of people that have done things, and as it relates to maybe other people that are listening and they want to do similar ventures, I think that's going to be great to move them along a little bit faster. You know, I'm excited for that type of content for our listeners.
And it's to tie all this together. When creating this podcast, the Y.O.P.S theme really portrays itself in a nice way, because we all had to consider ourselves, if we had enough time to do this, if we could put the kind of energy needed in order to do this into this, we needed to consider the others in our life, our friends and our family, and the sacrifices we would have to make in order to do this. We had to all meet together and make sure that we were all going to be on the same path
Yeah.
in this together.
And on time.
Yep. But the path that, and I love how Rudy said this earlier, that path can deviate as long as you're heading in that same direction. And sometimes that direction may even shift, but as long as everyone's on together. And Kyle posited the amazing idea of sometimes you have to go back to yourselves,
Yeah.
whether it's one of us or all of us together, to kind of reground ourselves and then push forward down that path. And, you know, once we get to the last part
To your final surrounding.
your
right?
surroundings, it's like when you get to the end of the path, you're gonna see what your surroundings are, and that's where I think people get complacent a lot of the times. And if we get this to where we want it to be, and when it comes to the podcast, one second, that's where it's up to us to say, okay, are we going to take this to the next level, or do we want to try a new venture?
I'd
And
like
that's
to
what I wanna do.
expound
Yeah.
on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I'm sorry. It's just, I see. I got to do it right. I got to inject my thoughts.
No, that's what.
That's you. Do it.
So I think when you do got to go back to yourself, like you just pointed out.
Yeah.
And I loved everything you were saying. I think that, you know, I'm of the belief that there is truth, a greater truth, and there's a greater. It's gonna look a little different for everybody, because everybody is an individual, but everyone's gonna have different ways of doing things, or, you know, different things they want to do, or a different approach. But there's always a right way to do it, because if you don't, you're gonna often find evidence of the wrong way is it not working out repeatedly,
send you down the wrong path.
or people, relationships getting fractured, or you're just not you're not taking care of yourself,
Mhm.
or what you're trying or what you're believing in just isn't, it's not going to get you there. And I think that that's evidence of a greater truth that's oftentimes not tangible. And I think evidence of that is surrounded in an organic modern world. Nature is full of mathematics. Literally, you're not going to breathe oxygen without truth.
Mhm.
Right. So it's like, it's this evidence of a greater truth that exists in a creator. You know, we talk about the golden ratio, and it's almost like a stamp of like God, like on his world that he made. And there is a right way. Right. And I think I'm learning too that, that, you know, you guys are going to see things a little differently, and that's okay. Or, you know, if I'm like, hey guys, I'm worried that, you know, if we focus on this too much, we're going to, you know, might deviate too much, or we're going to fall into this trap. But even trusting the process and trusting you guys. But I think when you're working on yourself, you have to realize that what you believe sometimes and what you want or what you think isn't always going to be right. And that's when you do. And that's when you might end up at P or S in your surroundings, or, you know, when you're at S with your surroundings, and you got to go back to yourself again. You might have to do that over and over and over again, and the loop will break. You'll do that less frequently when you are plugging yourself into more benevolent, ethical, positive approaches that are just building, right?
Yeah.
It's going to breed.
Yeah.
It builds on top of itself.
I have a saved category in my Instagram. It's called alignment. You know,
I like that.
what do I love, and what makes me feel good? You know, like that. Those are the types of posts that go into the alignment
It's pretty neat
say.
because it's the individual, right? Because it's like what
Yeah.
makes you feel good.
Yeah, right. And that
Like-
is
Like music
what you
or
consider
what you love
with
yeah.
yourself. And I think if we can build on that block by block and consider YOPS as we build.
And if what you love, you, Rudy, like for example, is positive, especially if other people are having a positive experience with it.
Right.
Or
right.
like, you know what I
yeah.
mean? So-
Right. You consider what others say about you. You get the
Yeah.
feedback, or you
Can't let it go to
it's
your
not,
head.
yeah,
but-
it might not always be great,
Yeah.
but
Right.
but to those you care about and to go back into that book once again, I've been listening to it on Audible, The Courage to Be Disliked. It's you're around folks that you love and love you when there's a freedom about your speech, about your actions. You can do it without fear of being judged.
Kyle, you really this is really, I think, a great thing that maybe encapsulate the entire episode.
Yeah.
Is that when you take time to consider that external truth as you walk through life,
Yeah.
the world is going to give you feedback. You might get 1 billion likes on Instagram. You might think that everything's going well. You might have a lot of money, but how many people who have a lot of money have committed suicide or gone down this rabbit hole?
Yeah.
There's things that you think give you temporary happiness, and then there's things that actually point towards the truth that give you real happiness.
Mm.
And that's when you're helping others and helping the community. And you will the world will give you those the truth in the world will give you that positive feedback.
Your relationships, at least.
Yeah, and your relationships and the world. I mean, when I feel like I'm on the path of truth or something's right, even like this podcast, things are showing up like little commonalities that are making it align, knowing that we're on the right path towards something better. And even if there's a lot of things like a lot of likes or a lot of money involved in something, you'll feel it.
Yeah.
There'll be signs externally from the world, from that external truth, that are going to show you that even though all these other signs and everyone thinks that you're on this righteous or great path, you're really not, because
It feels
at the end of the day, you're going to feel it and you're going to know. And
That's a great thought.
taking the time to consider that external truth is really what we want to build upon and move forward with.
Yeah, I just want to say too, Ryan, I'm glad you brought that up, because to our listeners, don't count your likes, or don't turn to validation. Don't look to those things, on social media for validation, or the world always. I understand what you're saying, but there's a quote that I want to kind of end this on.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be the last one to speak, but majority doesn't always denote truth. The world might go one way, and just because 6 billion or 7 billion people are going to go one way, they can be wrong. Absolutely. And just because you're going to go the other way, it doesn't mean that you're wrong. If you're only with a few other people or by yourself, that doesn't mean that you're wrong.
Yeah.
That's so great, Kyle.
I don't know if there's. I keep bringing up social media, but
It's
because
very
I'm on it,
prevalent.
because I'm on it all the fucking time.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
there's a meme. There's a person, and it's a
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm
there's a
sure
person,
everyone listening is
I'm
gonna
sure
know.
anybody
Yeah.
that goes on social media has probably seen it. And there's a sea of individuals, and this person's standing, and there's the bubble box that says "You're all wrong and I'm right."
Yeah.
So, and that's sometimes the way it is, and that's okay.
Sometimes it is. Yep. Sometimes the world doesn't always get it right. But to Ryan's point, though, he's right. I mean, Ryan had a great way of capturing how Ryan was saying that you can't always look. What you were saying, you can't always look to the external for the validation.
No,
or,
you feel it inside.
Yeah, he's right. It was a very positive message.
So, love is truth. Truth is love. I wanted to throw that in there because I was mentioning, when you're around those you love and what you're doing, what you love, that is your truth, right? So, consider that. Consider yourselves. Consider how it impacts those you love and those around you, and consider your path and get to where you got to go. I mean, that is the goal. So I think that's a good place to wrap it up. This was a top-notch one for me, guys.
Yeah,
I really
I really-
enjoyed it.
Rudy, good job. I think you really shined this episode. I just want to say,
Yeah.
I think you're the star of this episode.
You guys, are
Your
so
intro was really good
flattering.
too, and one of my favorite
can't wait
parts.
to go to Sally's or rallies or whatever it's called.
I can't wait to go to
Rallies and
either.
get a point. One of my favorite parts of the podcast is when I put my hand right on your thigh.
That's a mix between Irish and
Such a-
Australian.
I know what, yeah,
Is it
I'm-
always say Irish?
That's not a
Irish.
knife. This
I'm just
is
an
a
Irish lad. It's a gully old Irish lad.
Trying
Alright.
to channel my inner Conor McGregor.
Yeah.
You're doing good,
My
dude.
impersonations are sometimes.
Can you look into the camera and do the Conor McGregor?
Tell him
Come
to
on.
build block by block via Conor McGregor.
just build it block by block?
That wasn't bad, dude.
Build it block by block, you blokes.
Catch me in Roadhouse, you silly.
Gooses. Tricks are for kids.
Oh my god. Thank you guys. Enjoy your week. We'll catch you on the 4th episode
Block by block.
with
Keep
the next
building,
block.
guys.
Blockhead, yes I am.